representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States will
representing
cause
anybody
more
except for me
problems around the world.
and doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and
The upcoming Superman film, set to relaunch DC's most iconic hero for a new generation, is shaping up to be a monumental moment, not only for the character but also for the broader cinematic landscape of superhero storytelling. This new iteration is being directed by James Gunn, who has taken the reins of DC Studios alongside Peter Safran, marking a fresh direction for the DC universe following years of varied tones and shifting creative leadership. Unlike the previous portrayals, this Superman isn't just a reboot of a character, but rather a recalibration of what Superman stands for in a modern context. James Gunn, known for his character-driven storytelling and the way he injects heart and humor into genre films, is bringing a new voice and vision to Superman, one that promises to blend the core ideals of the character with a world that feels grounded yet still mythic. This version of Superman is titled Superman, previously referred to as Superman Legacy during its development stages, and it's intended to be the foundation of the new DCU Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, anchoring a cohesive slate of films and series across media. David Corenswet has been cast as Clark Kent, aka Superman, and this casting has generated significant interest due to his uncanny resemblance to a young Henry Cavill, as well as his proven acting chops in more intimate, character-focused stories. Corenswet's Superman is expected to be a more classic take on the character, emphasizing hope, optimism, and his dual identity as both the alien Kal-El and the Kansas-raised Clark Kent. The goal is not to retell the origin story in the same way that previous films have done, but rather to present a Superman who is already active and navigating his role in a world that is both inspired by his ideals and threatened by his power. Rachel Brosnahan will portray Lois Lane, an award-winning journalist and Clark Kent's partner, both professionally and romantically. Brosnahan's casting brings a sharpness and energy to Lois that aligns with the ambitious tone of the new film, and her dynamic with Corenswet is anticipated to be central to grounding the story's emotional beats. This film will explore Superman's struggle to balance his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Rather than focusing purely on external conflict, James Gunn has suggested that the heart of the story lies in the emotional and philosophical dilemmas that arise from that duality. Clark Kent is someone who wants to do the right thing, who believes in the innate goodness of people, yet he exists in a world that often tests those ideals. The film will emphasize this contrast, showing Superman as a symbol of hope who is also deeply aware of the complexities of the modern world. He is not naive, but he chooses to believe in the better nature of humanity, despite the evidence to the contrary. Gunn's screenplay is expected to include poignant dialogue and thematic exploration of truth, justice, and legacy, making the film more than just a spectacle. It will be a character study that happens to include epic battles and superpowered showdowns. Lex Luthor will once again be featured as a central figure in the Superman mythos, though this version of Luthor is expected to be more grounded, menacing, and ideologically driven than previous live-action versions. Rather than a cartoonish villain or a megalomaniac, this Lex Luthor is likely to be a dark mirror to Superman, a man of immense intelligence and power who sees Superman as a threat to human autonomy. Luthor's role may not simply be to conquer or destroy, but to challenge Superman's right to lead, to inspire, and to exist above humanity. His presence in the story is meant to test Superman's core beliefs and question whether idealism has a place in a world driven by fear and cynicism. The casting of Lex Luthor has been a carefully guarded secret, with numerous theories circulating among fans, but whoever steps into the role will need to embody a blend of charisma, ruthlessness, and intellect. The supporting cast and world building will be rich with familiar faces and new takes on old characters. Jimmy Olsen is expected to appear as a younger, enthusiastic photographer and friend to both Lois and Clark, providing moments of levity and emotional connection. Perry White will likely serve as a moral compass in the Daily Planet newsroom, reinforcing the themes of truth and integrity. But beyond Metropolis, the film will also introduce other elements of the DCU that help to contextualize Superman's place in this broader universe. This includes mentions or cameos of other heroes, though they won't overshadow the core Superman narrative. The film's ability to subtly weave these characters into the story without feeling like setup for sequels will be a key factor in its success. One of the most significant changes coming with this film is the tone. While previous Superman films have varied between somber and mythic to action-heavy and modernist, James Gunn's vision appears to aim for a tone that is sincere, inspiring, and emotionally resonant, without veering into cynicism or over-the-top darkness. This doesn't mean the film will be devoid of conflict or stakes. On the contrary, Gunn has emphasized that the story will have real consequences. But the focus will be on how Superman approaches those challenges not with brute force, but with compassion, intelligence, and moral clarity. This approach is meant to differentiate Superman from other heroes in the genre, who often rely on sarcasm, violence, or ambiguity to resolve problems. The visual design of the film will reflect this balance between classic and contemporary. Superman's suit has already been teased as being faithful to the comics, complete with the red trunks and bright colors, but updated with subtle textures and design flourishes that make it feel tactile and cinematic. The goal is to present Superman as an aspirational figure, one who looks like a beacon of hope the moment he appears on screen. The production design of Metropolis will also be key. It will likely resemble a stylized yet modern city that feels like a blend of New York's energy and a utopian vision of what a city could be. The Daily Planet building, the bustling streets, and even the skies above will all serve to reinforce Superman's relationship to the world he protects. Action sequences will be plentiful, but they will serve the story rather than exist for spectacle alone. Superman's powers will be shown in inventive, awe-inspiring ways, reminding the audience of his near-limitless abilities while also grounding those displays in emotional stakes. Flying, heat vision, super strength, and his heightened senses will all be utilized not just in battle, but in moments of rescue, discovery, and introspection. James Gunn has a track record of using action as a means to deepen character rather than distract from it, and that philosophy will likely guide the choreography and structure of the film's biggest set pieces. Expect Superman to face physical challenges that test the limits of his endurance, as well as emotional trials that question his sense of identity and purpose. Musically, the film is expected to feature a powerful score that honors Superman's legacy while forging a new auditory identity. There is speculation that a new theme will be introduced that echoes the iconic quality of John Williams' original or Hans Zimmer's reimagining, but with a tone that aligns more closely with the hopeful and inspiring direction of the character. Music has always been a key part of Superman's cinematic journey, and Gunn's meticulous attention to audio in his past films suggests the soundtrack will be carefully crafted to elevate key moments in the story. In terms of pacing and structure, the film is being written to avoid the pitfalls of many modern blockbusters that rely on constant exposition or confusing multiverse mechanics. This Superman story is meant to be self-contained yet expansive, a film that can stand on its own while also laying the groundwork for future installments. The first act will likely establish Superman's world and the pressures he faces both as a public figure and a private man. The second act will introduce the central conflict, both ideological and physical, as threats arise that test the limits of his philosophy. The final act will aim to resolve not only the external danger, but the internal questions Superman grapples with, offering a conclusion that is both satisfying and hopeful, without being simplistic or naive. James Gunn has also emphasized the importance of sincerity in his storytelling. He wants audiences to believe in Superman, not just as a character, but as a symbol. That means allowing moments of vulnerability, giving the character space to reflect, mourn, celebrate, and connect. This Superman film will explore themes of legacy, not only Superman's personal legacy, but what it means for a world to inherit his ideals. Is it possible to inspire without imposing? Can one man's example truly change the course of human behavior? These are the kinds of questions Gunn's script will likely explore, grounding the fantastical elements in real human emotion and philosophical inquiry. There's also the cultural context to consider. Superman has often been seen as a product of his time, a hero born in the era of the Great Depression, shaped by World War II, and reinterpreted through the lens of each generation's anxieties and hopes. This new film aims to make Superman relevant without losing the timelessness of his character. In a world increasingly divided, fatigued by anti-heroes, and hungry for stories of genuine goodness, Superman has the potential to resonate more than ever. Gunn's interpretation isn't about reinventing the character to make him edgy or brooding. It's about reaffirming his role as a beacon of moral clarity in a complex world. The film's release will mark a significant moment for DC Studios as it charts.